understand then, for somebody else who may not be able to take the death as easy as maybe I could, And so it's very important that you work together as a team and that you approach it as a team.
Is there any kind of organized support here for you, like offered through the chaplain or support groups once a month, or is that something that's not been needed here?
It hasn't been needed. I think because we're a smaller facility, we are more closer as employees too,
right.
And we pretty much give each other support. I mean, when she first started, you cried, but we gave her a hug, and that's okay. You gotta let it out.
And it was really hard for me to deal with the first time I dealt with a resident passing away. And Cindy came and told me, just think of it as a blessing because there's no more pain. Mm-hmm. And the patient is dancing with the angels. So
that's great that you have that camaraderie. And back to hugging, I just wanted to step back just a little bit. Have you ever found a family to be resistant to that? I know that where I work, it's one of the first things that I ask, and I let the families know. I let them know that I'm a very touchy, hands-on kind of person, but I don't want to, again, put my feelings or beliefs on someone else. This individual may be someone who's gone through their life who's not wanted to be touched or
not
hugged.
As warm and open to
and
hugs and...
Exactly. And I've had residents tell me that they don't prefer hugs, but as the end gets near, they would like to have someone sitting in there just holding their hand.
Holding their hand.
So touch does play in there.
Right.
You always ask, before you give a hug, you don't just...
Right.
It looks like you need a hug, and I give you a hug.
Give them a chance to respond.
Exactly. Great. Yeah. Because I'm just one of those that would just jump up and, but I've had to learn through my patients and their families, too, that I can't always do that. That's my feeling. That's not where they're at that time. How do you handle showing your emotions, or do you show your emotions in front of family and patients if someone has just died? Do you feel comfortable showing your emotions?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
We cry with the family, and show, try to...
Because actually we bonded with these residents. I mean, we have some that were here 3-4 years, and to me it's just natural to cry.
Right.
That's just, they're kind of like your extended family.
Right. And that does show that you're human, and that
you have
is
compassion.
extending to the family that they know that their loved one was well cared for. If you are feeling the urge to cry, that's showing that you truly were attached. This just wasn't something mechanical that you were going through.
We also have something where we call it a reflection sheet that we have started up here about a couple months ago, and that is where we, after the resident has deceased, we do show that different things we remember about that certain person, and then we send it along with the family. And that, for instance, if they smiled a lot, or different kinds of things that we write down for them, so they also know the closeness we have. And
that's great. And do you keep anything here if you want to do any reflection? I know that we had just recently started a journal where we put patients' first names but not last names, and just little tidbits. Anybody can go into that book that's worked with these people and just write a fond little memory of something that they had done, or they can log it as they're going along, through the journey, that so-and-so visited today. And there were times I remember sitting there thinking, I wish I had a Polaroid camera that I could have taken a picture of this and handed it to the family. What a wonderful thing that would have been. And then we have our journal to go back to, because we do have family members, and maybe you could tell me if you have people who come back here. A lot of families will come back on the anniversary date of the death of their loved one, just to see who's still working there and to really want to connect with that person again.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard when you deal with a lot of different patients to try to remember, but if you have that book to go back to and you see that name, it's going to click
right away.
Right.
Correct.
Something about them, their special smile.
And we do have family members that continue to come back. We have one family member who comes back and plays the accordion, every first Tuesday of the month for the other residents here. And her mother passed away this last winter, so she still continues to come back. And we have others that, volunteer for different things.
For activities and come back.
Great. Okay. For patients that you've gotten very close to, we've kind of touched on this a little bit. How do you bring closure to with their death? Do you attend funerals? Or?
Yes.
Attend funerals,
Cut
maybe
the obituary, put it in my Bible.
Some family members would, give you just a little remembrance of, just a little something, for them, and going back to the reflection sheets. Then that's another way of closure.
Excellent. Do you send sympathy cards out, or is there like a bereavement person that kind of handles that?
Well, generally, the social worker would send like a plant
or flowers
to the funeral home, and then we always put up in our break rooms. We have the date and time of the funeral services.
Great. So they do encourage you.
Yes, to go to funerals. Yes, that's good closure.
What kind of things do you do to help balance your home life with your life here? I know I always call it my second home.
Yeah.
Away from home.
Right. And mine is meant in a very good way. I enjoy going to work every day.
Right.
I get up and I view the sunrise on my way to work, and that for me is a piece, a calming piece. I don't know what had happened at work during the night, but I start each day with kind of a meditation in my car on the way to work, and just, thanking God that I have the wonderful job that I have, and I'm able to touch people's lives the way I have. If you can give me some ideas of what you kind of do too.
I think when you're in a job like this, it's hard for your family, your personal family, not to get involved somehow or some way, because you're always going home with stories. Right. You're always going home with something that happened interesting. And even when it comes to where the death is, you kind of share that with your family, and so they know then that, and like that, how it affects you. So it's very, very important that your family, understands that maybe you're not going to be, in the uppiest mood when you come home, because you just experienced a death and that. And so I think, I know in my personal life, my family's involved, and I know just talking with all my other coworkers how much they.
And I think if you're spiritually or I feel there is life after death, and I think that's helpful. I don't know. I can't believe people can be in this kind of line of work and not believe in that. I think it would be very tough. So spiritually, it helps me. And taking a walk, if you have a bad day or you lost a resident that day, just taking a walk, and that's very relaxing for me. And
my family is very supportive. My children tell me to say hi to some of the residents because they come up and visit.
Right, yeah.
My husband, they're just there for me. And if I ever need to cry with them.
That's excellent, and that kind of goes back to what you were saying about,
right.
how your family, in this kind of work, it's hard for them not to become involved. I have a 16-year-old son that, he's my only child, and I share everything with him. We're very close, and I share stories with him and my husband. It's the point now where I can walk in the house, and my son can just tell by looking at me. I'll walk in the door, and he says, "Mom, you've had a rough day. I can tell. Something's touched you. You need a hug." Right. And he comes up to me and gives a hug. And so I know that everyone that I've cared for has not only touched me, but they've touched my family, too, by stories that I've shared. And